Creating art is a lonely process, but getting inspired by art that already exists is not. In this content based ecosystem that we find ourselves in, the art of standing out is the priority. So, I think one aspect of the creative process that is being neglected is learning from those that came before us. He's just a tiny example of how Bong Joon-ho was inspired by Martin Scorsese, who was inspired by Satyajit Ray, who was inspired by immigrant American directors who brought cinematic techniques from their countries to Hollywood. Learning from those, getting inspired by those who came before you to emulate, not imitate, and then defining and refining your process as you learn from them and then you learn from yourself as well, so on and such. Okay, on to the legends.
너무 감사합니다. 그리고 어렸을 때 제가 항상 가슴에 새겼던 말이 있었는데 영화 공부할 때.
Thank you so much. When I was young and studying cinema, there was a saying that I carved deep into my heart, which is
가장 개인적인 것이 가장 창의적인 것이다. 그 말을 하셨던 분이 누구였냐면 제 책에서 읽은 거.
The most personal is the most creative.
그 말은 that quote was from our great Martin Scorsese. So.
As a kid, I was living in the Lower East Side, and the first film that I really saw about India was Pate Panchali by Satyajit Ray. And I realized it was a film that was made by Indians, for the world, not through other cultures. And it brought me to learn about the rest of the world. And so with this award tonight...
They were very, very well-crafted films. So my education really is based on these extremely well-written, well-directed, well-shot, well-acted films of the 30s and 40s. I got to know American films made by French directors who had left France and settled in Hollywood, like Duvivier, Renoir himself, and a few others, and the Germans like Fritz Lang and others who were making American films, but making them in a very German sort of way. And the same goes for the French films. For instance, Renoir's first film that I saw was The Southerner. It's an American story, acted by Americans, but looking completely different from the American films. It was more French than, one could certainly recognize a completely new approach, narrative approach, a new style of filmmaking from looking at this American film made by a French director.